Hello, everyone, and thanks again for attending the We Make Movies International Film Festival. Again, I'm Whit Spurgeon, one of the founders and the programming director of the festival. Joining me is Sapna Gandhi, marketing and PR director of the festival and of We Make Movies, Inc. We are thrilled to be interviewing Oscar-winning filmmaker and founder of Breakwater Studios, Ben Proudfoot. Hi, Ben. How are you?
Hi, Sapna. I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us what you won your Oscar for?
Sure. Yeah, my name is Ben, and I am a filmmaker. I make short documentaries, and I was lucky enough to accept, on behalf of our film, The Queen of Basketball, the Academy Award for Best Documentary Short Subject in March.
And I believe you guys were also nominated the previous year in the same category?
We were, yeah, for a film that I made with my friend Chris Bowers called A Concerto is a Conversation.
Which is also a wonderful film, just dynamite. Where were you born and raised, Ben?
I was born and raised in Halifax, Nova Scotia, on the east coast of Canada. Yeah, grew up there until I was 17 years old, and then I came to Hollywood.
pretty much just before you went to college.
I was a little younger, so that was me going to college. But to be honest, the first time I came to Los Angeles was as a teenage magician. When I was 15, I came to audition for the Magic Castle Junior program.
Oh my gosh.
And so that was actually, speaking of the Oscar, right after winning, I got like kind of kicked out into some kind of waiting room at the back of the theater. And I looked out the window, and the window directly out of the back of the Dolby Theater looks directly up, I think it might be Orange Street, to the Magic Castle, which is the first place that I ever visited in Los Angeles. And that was a real moment for me.
Are you a magician?
I was, yeah. I mean, I can still pull off. I could probably fool a small child, but that's about it.
That's amazing.
Well, when did you first realize you wanted to be a filmmaker?
It's a good question. I think, honestly, I have a couple memories. I have a memory being in my best friend's living room, and he had an older brother who had a projector, and we were making little movies. And I remember, like, after dinner one night, we projected one of these movies, there was like a sunken living room, like onto a wall there, and everybody watched it and laughed and really, really thought it was great and had all kinds of comments about it afterwards. And it was kind of like, it reminded me a lot of being a magician, in that it gave me a lot of pleasure to work really hard on something that an audience would enjoy and get something from. And I think I have just I've put myself in that position of being oriented as the person thinking about the audience and what kind of thing might entertain them or enrich them or whatever. So that's a moment for me. I was probably, I don't know, 15 years old.
Awesome. So then how did you land upon documentary versus narrative filmmaking as your creative weapon of choice?
Well, it wasn't my intention. I mean, I did not fall in love with documentaries as a teenager. I was interested in scripted feature filmmaking, Spielberg, Robert Zemeckis, George Lucas, Frank Capra, John Ford. That's what I was really into. No real thought about documentary, let alone short documentary filmmaking. And that's what drew me to come to school at USC. And it was only later, and mostly I think just for economic reasons and impatience reasons. When you have no money and you're very impatient and you're also ambitious and want to make a lot of stuff, the short documentary is for you, because it's like, as we all know, it's very expensive to make films, especially narrative films, especially feature-length narrative films. And short documentary has the lowest barrier of entry. So as soon as I figured out that I could green light my own movie, shoot it myself, edit it myself, put it on Vimeo, and 100,000 people would see it. I was spoiled by the independence of that pathway and kind of never looked back.
So it's a pretty deliberate choice to do short format then, you know, practically speaking, financially speaking, all of it.
It's just like, how are you gonna, unless you're extremely wealthy or somebody else who has a lot of money has picked you out as their horse, how are you gonna keep making stuff? I mean, like, I made a short narrative film when I was in college called Dinner with Fred and a few other little projects, but it was like, this was a huge undertaking, and I had to like convince all my friends, and it was like my $5,000 inheritance from my grandfather. It's just like, these are not repeatable things where I can like keep doing it over and over again. And so I needed that. I wanted to be productive and prolific. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I saw Dinner with Fred. That's great.
Thanks. And it should be said that Whit and I worked together, which is how we know each other. When I was at USC, Whit was cast in a short film that, I don't even know if you know this, Whit. I wrote it, and Moni Salazar, who directed it, she just edited Iñárritu's new film Bardo, which just came out.
What?
Wow.
So here we are, probably, a good 11 years later.
Maybe I'm a good luck charm. Rub my belly and you know.
I think it's clear
you are, Whit. You are a good luck charm. Absolutely. We're going to go with that.
Hey, so, a decent segue then. So you started on your own, but how did Breakwater come into existence? I know you're not the only director at Breakwater, so feel free to expound on Breakwater, but how did it start up?
Yeah, so the concept behind Breakwater was really to take the best elements of the studio system, which was having all the creative departments physically together in the same space. That's the theory, right? Is that we're going to make better movies, and we're also going to have a better time making stuff together in the same space versus, from our living rooms or whatever, which is really how independent films are still made, in a very fractured and virtual thing over Slack and email and Dropbox. And that just like sounded like no fun to me, a very isolating life. So the company was formed with that idea. Let's have a space where everybody can come together and do the work together, where craft is a number one priority. And I was very inspired by George Lucas and how he was able to be independent from the studio system, and basically started figuring out how I could have a business that made short documentaries. And what that ultimately meant was partnering with brands who were looking for new ways to connect with audiences that weren't, 30 and 60-second television commercials. And so over the last 10 years, we've had a number of, a myriad of incredible partnerships with companies that have seen the power of short documentaries as an affordable alternative to advertising, and in many cases, a more powerful, sticky, resonant form of communication as well.
Stories, people want to get a story, everything is story based. So, absolutely. A short film is a better commercial than just, it's the best advertisement. Absolutely. I love that collaborative feel that we make movies is a bit like that as well, where we all want to work on each other's projects and help each other, finish each other's projects. So I love the spirit of that. That's really great.
Yeah. I mean, that's where when you close your eyes, isn't that the kind of situation you want to work in? Yeah. You don't really want to be sitting at your computer alone at home reviewing frame links and sending an email about your thoughts. You want to be sitting there sharing a pot of tea as, so-and-so, is working on some other project. And what do you think of this? Can you watch this? What's your feedback? That's the human, pot of soup is like, that's where it's at, and that's where you get that final 10%, I think, that we're missing in today's virtual
Yeah.
world.
Community, absolutely. Yeah. And connection.
As a person who did a lot of theater work in Chicago, I'm addicted to the collaborative stuff. So I know exactly what you're talking about there. You know, it was nice to come out to LA and find out, oh, film is collaborative too, you know, because I really didn't know until I did it. So yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, I think, or I don't know if it's unfortunate, but yeah, I think that is the right word. I think because film is so technologically enabled, it lends itself to these productivity tools, which have really been the product of Silicon Valley, that have driven us apart, right? And we've forgotten the fact that this is actually about human beings who have hearts and souls and things that they're dealing with in their life and ghosts that they're reckoning with that all fit into a movie. And it's like you lose that over Slack, you lose that over Dropbox, Frame.
Yeah. In real time, you have the opportunity to have the conversations around, you know, a specific scene, a specific, you know, even just an edit or whatever. Yeah, absolutely. So
problem solving in the moment, that kind of
right,
stuff. It's
absolutely.
great.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry, go ahead.
oh yeah. So how did the alliance with the New York Times happen? We're curious.
So they have been, you know, a foremost distributor of short documentaries with their OpDoc platform for about 10 years, more than 10 years now. And they've done, I think, like 400 OpDocs or something, an amazing number. And a film that I made about a fish and chip mogul named Haddon Salt in 2019 premiered at the Big Sky Documentary Film Festival.
Oh, nice.
And picked it up. And
cool.
they had no notes. And I was like, man, this is great. it was the last time that they had no notes.
Wow.
But we actually, you know, I'm kidding. But that was the first project, and last week we just released, I think, our 16th collaboration, and it's just like a beautiful match made in heaven because, you know, our goal as a company is to make short documentaries at scale, and they're distributing short documentaries, and we won an Oscar together in March. That was the New York Times first Academy Award, so very proud of that partnership.
Oh yeah,
that's great.
So now you're in with them. They think you're the cat's pajamas, I'm guessing, you know, like, hey.
You know, I try not to poke that too much because, but yeah, I mean, certainly it's been a really successful collaboration, and one that continues to bear fruit for the both of us.
We'll just tell them that you put them on the map, you know, that's okay.
Yeah, I don't know how that may not be so true.
How do you find the subjects for your documentaries? They're all such fascinating people. Like, I get a minute into your documentary and I'm like, this is another amazing human being. I can already tell this is fascinating. So how do you find the people you ultimately interview, and or how do you choose your subject matter? And is it subject matter first and then look for a subject? You know what I mean? Like, I want to do a documentary about, yeah,
to be honest, I mean, there's certainly no formula. I wish there was, but there's certainly no formula other than something that propagates the will to make the film, which I know is like a terrible answer, but like, in order for us to go out there and spend money and time and resources to go make this film and convince everybody involved to spend their time and convince the editor to spend many weeks, I mean, it's like you've really got to have a passion and a reason if you're going to bring all these other people into the process, right? And ask of their time and gifts and artistry. You've got to believe in it yourself. So, I mean, that's the honest answer, is it's like, you're just looking for something that gives you that tug, that the only way that you can scratch the itch is by making the movie. I think it's always easier to look in hindsight, but a lot of the stories that I'm interested in are stories where, you know, someone didn't quite get the credit that they ought to have. And then the movie can become both a great story and also a tool to rectify the problem. So I like that. It helps, it creates a sense of urgency around the film that, you know, this is not only a great story, but it's actually important for you to take it in and share it. It helps us understand the context that we live in. And I also think that short documentary is a beautiful way to preserve important perspectives and encapsulate them in a film. And if I feel like this is a story that may not ever be told in or shot, that's another strong reason why I find myself traveling across the country to go interview someone, is if like there's no commercial reason to shoot this, you know, enter Breakwater Studios, because we make those films as passion projects. You know, it's not a short documentaries, at least not today, are not, you know, there's no real way to make money
Right.
at them.
So speaking of money, I mean, how do you acquire funding for these films?
So we have a successful business making projects with brands.
Okay.
So we work directly with brands. We don't work through agencies or any intermediaries, although we work shoulder to shoulder with a lot of different agencies and vendors for brands.
Okay.
And we solve business problems with stories, right? So, you know, it could be anything from how did this company get started? Let's tell the story, the origin story of this company, to we've got a campaign about this idea and we wanted to find stories that fits in with this idea, or we want to show the impact of our work or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And we come in as documentary filmmakers and find stories that represent that outcome that can be used both as entertainment and also as purpose-driven storytelling and marketing within the company. That's how we provide a service that makes money. And then when that entity or that business line is successful, we're able to invest in passion projects like the Queen of Basketball or others. And it's limited, you know, we can only do so much of that in comparison to the other projects we do, but that's how our business works.
Your production values on all your films are just astonishing. How do you achieve this with limited resources?
The answer is that we own the means of production, as Karl Marx would say. So we have invested in a lot of camera equipment, lenses, an entire post workflow, etc. One, and two, we're extremely lucky to have incredibly talented, gifted people all along the way, from sound to cinematography to editing to color to music, who contribute their craft to our films. Without them, I mean, you can just go back in time earlier in the Vimeo page and see what it looks like when I shoot something, and then you compare it to how our films look now, and you can tell how significant these contributions are. But it's a team effort. We're all bringing our craft to the table, and then it's so consistent because we don't change the production value based on the budget. We just give the projects what they need and what they ought to have, and there's no expenses spared to get to what we need to do.
So speaking of music, all of your films have original scores. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I know. It's funny. That's one of those things that, like, it seemed obvious to me that, of course, all films would have original scores, and it was a surprise to me that was not the case. Long before I think I was inspired by movies, I was inspired by music and orchestras. My sister was a ballet dancer as a kid, and I remember going to the Nutcracker, the big ballet performance at Christmas time. And there was a theater called the Rebecca Cohen Theater in Halifax, which is like our big, it looks like a Broadway theater. And the Nova Scotia Symphony Orchestra was in the pit. And my mom would walk me down at the intermission and look down, and it was all dark with their little, music stand lights, and I'd see all the different instruments. And that was like the most exciting, wonderful possible thing, was this orchestra coming together. And that was like, and I remember they had these big puppets for Father Christmas and all these things. And just like the spectacle of the whole thing, I was just like, I want to be part of that. Whatever I have to do to be part of this whole situation, that's for me. And music was always such an important part of movies, right? And learning about the history of that in film school, and Max Steiner and Alfred Newman and Eric Wolfgang Korngold, and this operatic romantic style of music that transformed into movie music, was just something that I really felt was like something I wanted to be a part of my filmmaking, and it always has been. And so we're very rare in that we've invested over the course of now, hundreds of films, always having an original score, and most often having a score that's been recorded live by real musicians, which gives a very strong sense of importance and quality to the stories that we're telling, but it's delivered in a subliminal way. You might notice that you like the music, if you're not a filmmaker, or that this is a very music driven piece, but it's like the simple difference of like hearing a live string track versus a MIDI track, or versus a licensed track that the picture is cut to or edited to, is very different. And our films are really built as musicals that are very tight with the music.
I noticed in many of your credits that a lot of the same names come up in terms of production and post-production. And I'm wondering how you found that core crew that kind of constitutes the people that you knew you wanted to work with, and that you knew would be, what I mean, the right people to do numerous projects with.
Yeah, honestly, a lot of us just met at USC Film School.
Okay.
Right. So like, if you look at like Sean Higgins, who's done our sound since the very beginning, he was my next door neighbor in freshman year. Right. Next door. Just by happenstance, freshman year, right next door, we're still working together. Right. Or Stephen Derlugian, who does the color on our films. Right. We were in class together. David Bolin, who has shot many of my films, we were in class together. So many of the people that I still work with today, Dylan Brown, who is our like senior post-production supervisor and like has built the whole workflow of Breakwater, we met at USC. So that core team, we all met at school and just have never stopped working together. And many people have come and joined and contributed to that. And one of the most wonderful things is we've had people who really love short documentaries, who have found us, right? Who have self-selected, say, I want to contribute my time and talent to the short documentary through Breakwater. And that's only been in the last few years, but that's been very exciting, because these are people who, rather than people like us who fell in love with feature filmmaking and said, oh, how can we apply this to short documentary? It's people who love short documentary first. And that's so exciting to see that happen. And also for us to be able to engage and enable others to make these kind of films. So, you build longstanding relationships with people, and you appreciate the fact that they're a core element of what it is that you do. And it can be a really beautiful thing.
That's awesome. Well, I think the last thing we want to probably touch upon is, so as an Oscar winner, what would you say is the most rewarding aspect of this Oscar experience for you and your team?
Well, I mean, it's an easy answer for me. Our goal with the Queen of Basketball was to close the gap between Lucy Harris's significance and how many people knew about her story. And I can't think of a better way for us to do that than on national television to, however many people, 10 million people. I think that's by far the most rewarding thing, is that, from, hey, we think this is a good idea, to, her name is inscribed in cinema history, let alone athletic history, is a huge accomplishment for our team, and something I'm very proud of being a part of and having been a leader on. And that's the most rewarding thing by far. And also, I think to the team, like you mentioned, like that list of credits, like we've been working together for so long, and they've been listening to me pound the pavement of short documentaries and craft and whatever. And I'm sure at multiple points they've said, where is this, are we ever gonna get anywhere with this idea? I mean, he's a charming guy, but like, what are we gonna get anywhere with this? So I think it was gratifying that our work was able to culminate in being recognized by the people that we admire the most, the Academy members that voted for our film.
Yeah, that's really
That's great. And I mean, there's a through line to all these Breakwater films, which is that they're all kind of inspirational in nature, which I think is dynamite and I just love. I do have one more question for you,
Sure.
which is, where's the best place for people to see all your films?
So to see all of our films, the best place is our website, breakwaterstudios.com. And then I think the best place to like engage with what people are saying about a lot of our films is probably on the New York Times YouTube channel. By now we have quite a number. I really think it's like 15 or 16 films there. And that's where all the like millions of views and the tens of thousands of comments live. And those are always fun if you're interested in engaging in the conversation around our films. And you can always follow us on Instagram, on Twitter, Facebook. We're in all those places.
awesome.
Ben, it's been a delight and an honor. We're thrilled to have your films, and thank you so much for taking time out of your day to do this interview. I hope to see you soon, buddy.
Absolutely. Nice to meet you, Sapna.
Well, nice to meet you as well.
We are movie brothers for life. We were there when I was a student. We took a chance on our student film, and I'm happy to be here with you, and thanks for taking the time.
That film still makes people cry
It's good. Moni did a
because
great
it's so
job.
sweet.
Yeah. we should have that in the program just to show the connection. I don't even know if I have a link to it. You must have it somewhere.
Maybe next year. We'd love to keep programming you. So, throwing your films up and helping get them out there for people to see.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks.
Thank you so much. All right.
All right. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Right.
Let's do a phone call. Okay.
Yeah.